And happy Saturday, everybody. Here's your boy, Grade A Fantasy. Once again, a little bit off schedule, man. I've had a lot of stuff going on as the week goes on, meeting up with family and everything. Pop's birthday this weekend, so happy birthday. Shout out to him. I got some running around to do for another friend's, his daughter's party, so I'm going to get to this video. Probably one of those is going to feel short, sweet, and kind of rushed, but I am getting to some details with some values and what I feel on my top plays. And besides, things did happen where I couldn't even get to the wide receiver video for week one. How blasphemous is that? So let's get right into these plays. So once again, the theme is about bounce back. Cincinnati's notoriously a slow starter first week or two. So if you want to keep that in mind, I'm not going to lie. Because of his performance, he went down $200. But my favorite pay up out of all these, without a doubt, is Cee Dee Lamb. Saved $300 more for $8,700 against the Giants. The Giants, somewhat, if you want to call strength, is somewhat in the front four, maybe a linebacker or two, but it's still not a solidified front seven. That offensive line can protect Dak and CD and George Pickens, both of them. The stacks are good for him and maybe even some Ferguson. But my favorite play on the Cowboys, regardless, no matter how much of a value Javonte and you saw the workload, my favorite Cowboy play for the weekend is Cee Dee Lamb, without a doubt. I think CD is good in Dak stacks, and I think CD is going to have one of those that he can blow up this weekend. He can literally blow up this weekend, and he's viable like 17 and a half in week one. I think he's viable for like a 23 or 24, without a doubt. He's going to get the yardage in that one touchdown, without a doubt. Puka's another solid, has another solid matchup against Tennessee. Tennessee's defense did show some promise, but the secondary, once again, it's still inexperienced, but the secondary showed promise because of the pressure of that solid front four. So Tennessee and the Rams should be a bit competitive, but I think Puka's going to dominate. My second favorite is Amon Ra St. Brown. I think he's going to kill Chicago in the slot, and I think the cornerback that starts, his name is slipping me right now, but their starting quarterback that guards the slot is hurt, so that means Amon Ra is probably going to get shifted to the nickel guy sliding in to guard him, or maybe a dime guy. So you're looking at the third, fourth, maybe fifth best pass cornerback coverage on the team. So I think Amon Ra has a great game. He has definitely bounce back potential. Malik Nabers is strictly just straight volume. Brian Thomas always in probably what's expected to be the most exciting fantasy game is always, and I think he looks better because here's what I see. I think they want to try and see how it was with Travis Hunter at wide receiver, but I think they see definitely without a doubt this is definitely a matchup that they're going to need Travis Hunter to play more cornerback than wide receiver. I think the way they're going to use his talent is he's still going to get snaps, but people might think that it takes away from the more deep threats that Brian Thomas can get. Because if Brian Thomas was playing with Travis Hunter last week and he still got 7 targets, less offensive Travis Hunter who's going to be put more on the defensive side, and I think rightfully so with either Higgins or Chase, I think you're going to need Brian Thomas or expect Brian Thomas now. That 7 target can pop to, and it was an ugly game regardless, but that 7 target can pop to now, I'm not even going to say something like 8 or 9 targets. No, because if you take away less from Travis Hunter, who will still probably have a few offensive possessions here and there, I think Brian Thomas is at least looking at 11, 12 targets for that. So definitely love Brian Thomas more this week than I did last week. Love A.J. Brown, but you know what's funny? Even with Saquon and all these guys, that looks like it could blow up, but it's still 2 solid defenses. So it's one of those that I think A.J. Brown, for the few 4 o'clock games, he's a low old option. And we know how concentrated that offense is. So a couple of deep passes to A.J. Brown, could boost you up because he's going to be low owned. There's only 3 games in the 4 o'clock block, y'all. So I think a lot of the excitement and ownership is going into the 1 o'clock games. Jackson Smith and Jigba. JSN is my third favorite. Yes, Pittsburgh is at home, and it could mean problems with J.J. Watt coming off the edge with some defensive adjustments after last week's unexpected shootout. But the value can't be ignored. I like him. and another high targeted wide receiver who's just great off volume, Garrett Wilson. On top of the rushing, he was still able to get 19 fantasy points. So Buffalo does have some dinged up injuries. I think they have I think they already lost somebody from the front seven. I think one of the quarterbacks are injured. Somebody from the front seven, I think, is already out for the year, if I'm not mistaken, or out for most of the year. So that helps. That helps Justin Fields, and he's gonna just laser in on him because with Justin Fields' great day, Garrett Wilson still was able to get 19 fantasy points, and he's the main guy that he targets. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 95 and a touchdown. So, and it's still at a nice price tag at 73. Once again, you know me, I'm already on the Tyreek Hill bounce back along with T. Higgins. There, I don't know why it took so long. We all knew Xavier Worthy wasn't going to play. My favorite play, if I scroll down a little bit, I do like Marvin Harrison, Metcalf and everything. Devontae has a nice matchup in Tennessee. But I do like Hollywood Brown. The thing is, he's going against that Philly secondary. And, oh, man, I can't believe this guy's name is slipping my mind. But it is a great matchup. It is going to be a tough matchup. But the volume of Hollywood Brown, like, scrambling and getting passes from, like, a scrambling Mahomes, except from the 3 to 5 drop back, because he is going against one of the best slot corners in the league, the volume has to go somewhere else. So I love Hollywood Brown again this week. I don't know if Hollywood gets 16 targets, but for 6,500, I'll even be happy if he gets half of that. If he gets half of that at 6,500. Devontae Smith, like I said, big playability against Philly. It could happen. We already know, once again, 49ers, now the injury bug is hitting them early instead of late in the season. Ricky Pearsall, once again, big volume play. I think Stephon Diggs is a low-owned, really good play against that bad Miami secondary. Like I said, it is a possibility that they just get drained and drubbed out because Miami just turns it up different at home. But garbage time, whether it's the pace of the game or whatever, he seems to be a sneaky pick. I don't think a lot of people are talking about Stephon Diggs. 6,200 for basically the number one with that young core. 7'6", 57. I think him and Drake May just needs to develop some more chemistry. Jameson Williams is always a play for me every week. He just didn't do it this week, but like I said, I always like talking J-Mo, but this week I'm on the Amon Ra train. Like I said, there goes George Pickens, just because of the volume. Jawan Jennings is iffy, but it's like, who else can you throw to? But it's Mac Jones as well. So Khalil Shakir, but I'm actually on there goes T-Mac for 57. Yeah. When it comes to dipping down here, I'm going to go back to Cedric Tillman. I'm going back to Jalen Waddle. Both of them at 5,400 against Baltimore. Baltimore is a secondary that still hasn't figured it out yet. Jalen Waddle, I think he's part of the king of the bounce backs this week. On top of that, Alec Pierce could be some type of GPP pick for the late part of the slate because he's the deep threat. He's definitely not going to get the Patrick Surtain shot. Or like I said, I think that goes to, it might be a rotation of Michael Pittman and maybe Josh Downs, but Alec Pierce, I think it's Alec Pierce that's going to roll free and probably get the better matchup, even though that's still a solid secondary. He, on the opposite end, like a Marvin Mims on Denver, can easily have like one of those 3 or 4 target games, but catch the one bomb for a touchdown, and at this kind of price point, be optimal. As you can see, there goes Marvin Mims right there at 51. I'm actually liking Joshua Palmer. It's a better matchup. Keon Coleman, I am not. Let's be real, y'all. It was a great game. He had a solid game regardless. Now, he wasn't on the slate last week. He was single game. But we have to look at those targets. Take away one of them, take away a reception, and take away the touchdown. The touchdown was a fluke. It wasn't meant for him. It got tipped. It's still a solid game. But Keon Coleman is still going to see Sauce Gardner. Shakir is going to be in the slot. I actually like Joshua Palmer this week. He's actually one of my favorite. If I'm stacking, I'm probably going to fade Keon Coleman and do a double stack with Shakir, a cheap double stack with Josh Allen and Shakir. But obviously, in most cases, I'm just going to single stack him with Joshua Palmer. He's a vet. He's going to get the better matchup, knows how to separate, run deep routes, short routes. When it comes to like them trying to just get the wide receiver ever since they lost Gabe Davis and just get these wide receivers, he's one of the more solid, underrated picks that nobody talked about. And Joshua Palmer, I think, is going to benefit with it's a solid but not impenetrable secondary. And he can find his slots in zone and he can find his areas in zone and man. So I like Joshua Palmer there. If we keep going down this far, I can't really seriously recommend. I seriously can't recommend anybody down here. Seriously, I mean, there's some targets down here. I mean, there's the Hunter Renfros, there's the Johan Dotsons, the Michael Wilsons. People mentioned Tyquan Thornton and KC because of the Worthy injury, and then Rashee Rice is also he's gone with the suspension. There's nothing really here at all. Tyler Lockett, I think he's done. Every now and then Khalif Raymond has that decent game 2 or 3 times a year. Diami Brown is in the Jacksonville game, which is the fantasy goodness game of the slate. After that, there's nothing really here. Oh, and Adonai Mitchell. I understand there's still, and this is why it's a target throw, because Tyler Warren is he's the goods. I said it last week along with those coach stacks I was talking about. I liked him, Pittman, whatever the case was. Like I said, I think Pittman gets my boy the Surtain shadow, so it brings up Alec Pierce, it brings up Josh Downs, and it brings up, like I said, they don't go to 4 wide a lot because they have Tyler Warren, and they'll sub in and out with Mo Alley Cox or whatever. But sometimes somebody runs deep, somebody needs a breather. Adonai Mitchell can, just be there in the right place at the right time of the drive. So it's one of those, that's definitely a dart throw, like I said, because you also have Jonathan Taylor and Daniel Jones to run. But with somebody basically in the game but out the game, in a way, the Patrick Surtain shadow, like I said, it boosts up Pierce and Josh Downs mainly, and then of course Tyler Warren. Once again, still Denver defense, still a top defense, but if you're looking for some dirt cheap throws down here, this way you're gonna look. And after that, there's really nothing here I can really seriously tell you guys to honestly pick. But that is the end of the wide receiver video. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck. Good luck this weekend. Like I said, that 20 max is almost about to fill. I already got my stuff reserved. It's just a case of me building my lineups. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. I'm done. I'm pretty much done with the slate review, and good luck. Who are your top picks at wide receiver? Once again, if I go over before signing off, when it comes to pay downs, on FanDuel, I'm going no lower than Josh Palmer. Once again, Marvin Mims is one of those. You just got to get him on the right slate. He could always give you that 3 for 112 and a touchdown. Like I said, I love Josh Downs, the upside. Fading Keon Coleman. I like Alec Pierce. Like I said, I like everybody but Pittman this week. And once again, my 2 favorite values at 5,400. I like Tillman and Waddle, even though there are some decent options here. As you go up, I don't think Travis Hunter is playable at all. And once again, if he's supposed to play more on the defensive side, like I said, those 8 targets are probably going to be slashed in half. They're probably going to be slashed in half because they're going to need him to either get Higgins or a Chase. They're going to need the help as a cornerback. When it comes to regular price guys, you can still like Jerry Jeudy. I mean, you consider that pay down 6,100. Like I said, Pearsall, Hollywood Brown, Marvin Harrison, Devontae Adams. When it comes to the mid-level, like Higgins, because he played back, Tyreek Hill at 72. Slate-breaking ability, especially at home. Love Garrett Wilson and JSN. But when it comes to pay-ups, and if I could pick 2, Cee Dee Lamb and Amon Ra St. Brown. That's the wide receiver preview. Thank you for tuning in. This is Grade A Fantasy, signing off.